I have another video here doing an unboxing on another VEVOR product, and this is not for most of you guys that like the trucking videos. This is more of a welding thing. This is a turntable for welding round parts to keep you from having to walk around the part you're welding and to keep having to reposition it as you reach around the back side. This just turns the part for you so that you can weld from one angle, and in some people's cases they can even set up an automatic welder. Anyway, let's go ahead and open up this box and see what's in there, and see if we can set it up and stick something in it to weld on it. Well, the packaging is very good. It has a lot of this plastic foam in there. It's not styrofoam. This is that plastic foam that doesn't crumble and leave little white things flying around. And it's got your power cord. It's got a foot pedal switch. It's not a speed control, because I can hear the clicking, so it just has a momentary switch in there. I do not know what these are yet. I'll look in the book and find out. As you can see, we got the unit here. It tilts, so you can go sideways with it, or at any angle you want to, or straight up and down. And this, of course, is your chuck that you put your parts in. These pieces here, maybe these are just, instead of a chuck key, maybe, I don't know, I'm going to find out about these here. It may not be a chuck key like what you have on a lathe that you rotate. And I'm going to find out if these jaws turn around and are reversible or not. I don't know if they are. They do have bigger units. I think this one goes for about $200 on Amazon. VEVOR did send this to me for me to do a video on, and so it is the smaller unit, but it'll come in handy sooner or later, because when I have had trouble welding a circle around something before and have to stop and reposition things, or try to work around the back side where I can't really see what I'm doing very good. So I'm eager to try this out. I'm going to read the book and find out what else we got going on in there. So there's the unpackaging of it. These two pins that I found, they are for the chuck. Chuck does not have screws that you turn inside there. I'm going to unscrew this for these jaws to come all the way out and see if they'll go back in and reverse, so that you can grab bigger things from the outside. But as it is now, you can just put one smaller item in the middle, and I'm holding the camera with my hands, so I'll put it on the tripod in a minute and operate this with both hands. But so you can hook something onto the, inside of a hole, inside of a pipe or something. You can put a pipe inside there and rotate these jaws outwards so that it grabs from the inside of the pipe. And it does not go all the way through. This threads right onto a shaft in the middle there, a shaft that comes up through the bottom, so you cannot run a pipe down through and out the other side. It doesn't work that way like it does on a lathe. So anyway, let me rotate these backwards and see if these come out, and if they can go back in the other direction, so that you have access to the other side of these jaws. And here's something else that's interesting. We have it says right here, it says Earth Terminal, but there's nothing in the directions about that. And what it is, it turns out to be a spring-loaded contact brush that rides on the bottom of this turntable plate. And when I pull this down, that's spring-loaded, and it rides on the bottom of that. So I don't know where you're supposed to ground this to, but I see how that would kind of protect maybe while you're welding, it might help keep too much power from going down through your motor, or possibly trying to weld this base onto your table, or damage the bearings that this is rotating on. So it'd be the paperwork doesn't say anything about it, so I think it'd be good to ground that to something, so that onto your machine possibly. I don't know. I got to figure out where to put this, because you don't really want to, while you're welding, you don't want to burn up your bearings in there if this is part of the circuit. So anyway, we'll look into that. Maybe somebody knows and can tell me where you're supposed to ground that to. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this thing down. It's just screwed on loose. There, it's tight now. Let's see if these come all the way out. Seems to be stopped. No, it's not stopping. It was for a second stopping. I have a feeling they're not going to, because I think they might, because it looks like they're beveled on both sides. These might actually go in the other direction. I'm going to try that. I'm going to work on that, see if I can get them to go in there the other direction. They will go in the other direction, like this, like I was going to try. It's tricky, because these are not finely machined parts. But if you look at this one, it has a number 2. Okay, the 745 is probably just the size number for this kit, because all three of them have 745 in the middle. But on the end, facing the other direction, we have a number 2 over there and a number 2 on this one. We'll put that over here, because that's number 2. If you look down inside there, where these are going to go, there's a number 2 there, number 1 over here, number 3. So 1 and 3 are, if you face them the same direction with your steps going like this on both of them, you got 3 on this side and 1 on that side. Over here you got 1 on this side and number 3 over here. So they're just opposite. But what I believe this means is number 1 is going to go in number 1 over here when you're facing this direction, because that number 1 is on that side. Number 3 is going to go over here on number 3 when you're facing the other direction. So if you're facing the way it came, this would go in number 3 over here, because number 3 is on that side. Number 1 is over here, so number 1 goes over here if you're going to go in that direction. And I'm still fighting with it to get all 3 of them working at the same time. And of course they got to be timed, because that is like a big spiral threaded thing, and so it's got to go in at the right intervals. I got it working, going that direction, and I did have to find a trick to that. So you do it this way, you can still grab things in the middle. If it's small enough, you can still grab something in the middle. It just won't go in very far before it hits the bolt that this is threaded onto. But I'm going to back this out and show the trick I found just on one of these. We'll do it on the number 3. Okay, if you look down here, let me see if I can get a little closer on that. Okay, right here, this is the threaded part. This is where the threads, this is the next thread coming in on the outside there. Okay, you see the opening here. That's where number 3 will go in and catch that. Well, you start with number 1 with this opening. This opening right here on the bottom of this thread. You see it's tall right here under my fingernail, and right here it goes down. It's opening. You can slide that in and catch it on there. If you start with that around here on number 1, wiggle that one into place, and you got to help it. And then once you get that started, you go around here to number 2, and when that same opening shows up on number 2, then you put that one in, and then you got to wiggle both of them. They don't want to just grab and go in. They have to be wiggled and played with to get them started. And then you still have to play with them and wiggle them both at the same time while you're rotating this around to number 3. You got to fight with them all the way around, because gravity is pulling them down and they're wanting to jam until they get in there far enough. And now they're going. They're still wanting to jam a little bit. There, now they're in there far enough, they'll go. So that's the little trick I've found to get them going. And then you got to make sure when you get the outside flush with the edge, you want to make sure you want to look all the way around, make sure all of them are flush out there. If one of them's sticking out a 1/4 inch, you know you missed it, and you got to go back and do it over. I got everything plugged in and ready to, let's see what we got here. This is the off and on switch for your foot pedal. If you leave that off unplugged according to the book, then it all works just off of hand controls. Here's the on switch. Here's the directional switch. Pull the hand control or the foot control off, and let's see. Not doing it. There it goes. It didn't have the speed up enough. Speed's down here. Man, you gotta, I don't know if it'll turn slow enough to weld. I guess it barely does. How much power does it have? It's got a little bit of power. You gotta turn it pretty slow to weld, so there's the other direction. Now let's try it with the foot control. Got that here. Well, you can never weld like that. I'm not sure what it goes up that fast for. Something that small, you're almost going to have to either use a TIG welder or if you set up a MIG welder, really light, small wire, and going pretty. But anyway, the thing works, and it's a handy tool to have in a shop where you do a lot of welding. So that's probably going to be it for this video as far as showing this thing, and I may do another video later actually using it welding. Alright, thanks for watching.